It's a good thing for the city.
I'm more of a Cowboy fan now than I ever been.
While most of the fans thought the sale would be good for the Cowboys, the reaction to the replacement of Landry was mixed.
I think he's been treated badly and unfairly. I think he deserves a lot more than what he's getting.
If it's good for Dallas, that's great. But the way they did Tom Landry isn't right. And I hope Tom Landry goes to another team and can come back and beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Business is business. However, there's a moral fiber that has to run through anything.
Basically,
somebody that puts in 30 years deserves probably as much consideration as anything else.
I know he said he wanted to be the Cowboys till he died. I remember saying that when he was trying to get things together so he could be part of a sale and part of the owners. So.
I just want to understand that.
Lucretia Garza-Quinn, Channel 8 News.
And that's our report for tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Stay with us for a special edition of Dale Hansen's Sports Special.
Good night.
You've been watching News 8, Dallas-Fort Worth's largest and this is Dale Hansen's Sports Special.
And this is a new generation of ownership, of coaches, and this must evolve.
The new generation is underway for the Cowboys at Valley Ranch, and that new generation will not include Tom Landry as head coach. I'm Brian Jensen. Dale will join us shortly for a roundtable discussion. After a long search for a buyer, Bum Bright has his man, and that man has his own choice for head coach. Jerry Orr is at Valley Ranch where tonight's announcement took place. Jerry.
Brian, there are a lot of sad faces at Valley Ranch. It has been 29 years for Tex Schramm and Tom Landry, and they're not used to seeing anyone else. But a big, happy face, Jerry Jones, the Arkansas oil man who built his fortune in oil and gas exploration. He says the best of Arkansas is coming to Texas for economic opportunity, but the best of the Dallas Cowboys is out of luck. Tex Schramm and Tom Landry, legends in the National Football League, are history. Jones wants both to stay in an advisory capacity, but both will no doubt decline the invitation. Jones says he will be a hands-on owner. He says he'll be part of every decision.
Well, a lot of people don't know it, but Frank Brawls will tell you that Jimmy Johnson is the only genius IQ that he ever recruited at the University of Arkansas. He's a fabulous, fabulous bridge player. Now, you don't know that when you see Jimmy Johnson. The thing that Jimmy brings is for me, is going into a new business with a not new person. I just want to say this. There is no substitute for winning. I know that's a cliche, but we must win. We will win. Win is the name of the game. The only excuse for not winning is to have done something that's going to make you win the next time out, and that's no excuse.
He says he wants to know everything about the franchise, including popping popcorn at the stadium. He will own at least 40% of the Dallas Cowboys, 100% of the Texas Stadium lease. And Jimmy Johnson will be coming to Dallas sometime this next week. No official word as yet. The Cowboys have a mini camp on Monday, and Jerry Jones needs to find someone who can run that camp. Brian?
All right, thanks, Jerry. Now, during the 45 minutes the news conference was aired live here on Channel 8, our switchboard received almost 100 calls from viewers outraged at Tom Landry's dismissal from coaching duties by new owner Jerry Jones. Well, Landry is at his vacation home outside Austin, where Tex Schramm and the new owner informed him of their move at about 5:30 this evening, less than 3 hours before informing the public. Jimmy Johnson, meantime, is back in Miami, where a news conference will take place tomorrow, officially announcing his departure. George Reba is there now and joins us from affiliate WPLG. George.
Jimmy Johnson apparently came into town without much word because nobody has been able to find him in here in this city here tonight. The question here now is how many of the assistant coaches from the school will join him in Dallas. The reports, as you probably have seen, is that 4 assistants from here will join him in Dallas. One of the coaches contacted by WPLG here tonight, he said they had no comment, had no idea what was going on, so all of that is up in the air. Jimmy Johnson was born in Texas, in Port Arthur, so I guess going back to Dallas is kind of like going back home. It was 1 year ago that Jimmy Johnson was honored in his hometown of Port Arthur, Texas, after the Miami Hurricanes won the national championship. It was his first national title after 9 years as a collegiate coach.
Jackie Sherrill claims to have taught him all he knows about coaching.
Johnson landed his first head coaching job at Oklahoma State back in 1979. He got that job after serving apprenticeships at Louisiana Tech, Wichita State, Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Johnson's success since moving to Miami in 1984 is the best in college football. Out of 61 games, his teams have lost only 9. In fact, his teams have lost only 4 games in the past 4 seasons.
When you pull together and when you care for one another, you know, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Johnson was a frequent visitor to Cowboys training camp in Thousand Oaks, California, and has a long-standing friendship with club vice president Gil Brandt. Ironically, it was Johnson who watched the Super Bowl in Miami this year with Brandt, Tex Schramm, and Tom Landry. Meanwhile, the hiring of Johnson spread rapidly throughout the Miami area tonight. His former players seemed happy for their former coach.
We hate to see him go, but it's something that you have to do. Everything in life is a big ladder, and this is one of the steps that he had to take. You know, if it's leaving us, then so be it.
I have a little letdown on my part, but, you know, on the other hand, I also be happy for him. You know, I feel like if he go, he made the right decision, you know, in order to get up to the big time.
Quarterback Steve Walsh, who has 1 year of eligibility remaining, was unavailable tonight, but made his position clear about next year if Johnson were hired in Dallas.
Who they bring in is a big factor, and you know, I've already voiced my opinion. If Coach Stevens isn't the head coach, I'm not going to be back.
Gary Stevens, the man that Walsh was referring to, is the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, the coach who groomed so many outstanding quarterbacks at the University of Miami. And of course the speculation is if Stevens does not get the job here, that Walsh is gone, and who knows who Jimmy Johnson might take to Dallas. Something to think about. This is George Riva live in Miami. Brian, back to you.
That is a very interesting question. Well, reaction from the rest of the NFL is expected to be mixed at best, and there, of course, will be more changes to come for the new generation Cowboys. Leaving history behind. Some of that history will join Dale Hansen in a roundtable discussion when Sports Special continues.
I like what it seems, blue jeans, ice cold.
Start tonight with several interested guests. Dale.
All right, Brian, we do have some people who have been involved with the Cowboys and with Tom Landry for a long time, and let me introduce you to them right now. My immediate right is Pettis Norman, who played for the Cowboys from 1962 through 1970. Randy White, of course, who started with the Cowboys in 75 and is still playing, or at least we'll find out if he is. Randy Hughes, 75 to 81, and Carlton Stowers, who has also covered his team for a long time. Carlton, let me start with you. You're with the Cowboys Weekly now. The reaction inside Valley Ranch and the way you sense this change.
Well, it's been a death watch out there for the last couple of days, and I think the general reaction is that of sadness that an era has obviously passed. A lot of questions about where the whole organization stands, who is going to be where and doing what in the days to come.
Randy, and Randy Hughes here, for the sake of the cameras following me, you were there almost as, and when you left, the good times started to come to a halt. Does Tom Landry, though, deserve to be fired and handled the way he was?
No, I think it's kind of an abrupt ending for Tom. He's obviously had a great career and over the 29-year period, and I don't think anybody would like to see his career come to an end this way. I think that probably could have been handled a little more gracefully, and I think everybody's sad to see it end the way it did tonight.
Well, Randy White, the question, of course, the number one question is, do any of these changes, and maybe more importantly, the way they handled the firing of Ernie Stautner, or at least the moving of Ernie Stautner, that affect your future with the Cowboys?
Well, the handling of Ernie Stautner, demoting him and the way it was, and trying to make him out to be a certain type of a scapegoat situation where I don't feel like Ernie Stautner had anything to do with the Cowboys being 3-13 last year. He's a great coach, and I wasn't happy with that situation, and the way the thing with Coach Landry has gone down, from what I know, for a guy that's been as great a coach as him and coached for as long as he had there, I don't think that he should have found out that there was someone else taking his job in the parking lot from the news media.
Will you play next year?
As far as my future, I guess I really have to wait till April 1st until this free agency thing is over with and see whether there is a future for me with the Dallas Cowboys if the new organization and new coach and who knows what's going on out there right now, if they want me to come back, I guess I'll find that out then.
Pettis, you've seen a lot of the good, some of the bad along the way. Your reactions to all of this today?
Well, I guess there's kind of a feeling of deja vu because I started when the Cowboys were perhaps in the same shape that they're in right now. It's amazing at how the circle has been completed in that regard. But my other reaction is also, as I listen to the people on the talk shows and the comments of the fans and people demanding Landry go, I thought about a line that Shakespeare wrote in one of his tragedies when he said, "You all did love him once, what cause withhold you now to mourn for him?" I thought that was a very interesting thing that I would remember that. But beyond that, I thought the handling of a future Hall of Famer coach was absolutely deplorable. You do not let Landry find out about this transition the way they did. I'm really sorry for Coach Landry. And really kind of sorry for the people that did this, because I think they're going to have an awful big hill to climb.
Randy Hughes, Jimmy Johnson was an assistant at Oklahoma when you played there. Tell us about what you know of him as a man and as a coach.
Jimmy was an assistant coach at OU, defensive line coach for 3 years, and was a very energetic coach. He was young at the time. I think he was in his early 20s, and he's obviously moved on to a very successful career with the University of Miami and some of the other places he stopped, and obviously a good friend of the new owner, I think, is probably the main reason he's here.
You compared him to Mike Ditka. Is he? I mean, is there a similarity? Will he have the same success as a coach?
I think he's got an opportunity to. The Cowboys have got a big hill to climb. He's got a lot of new people to bring in, and he's not as well stocked with talent as he was when he went to Miami.
Well, when they talk about stocking talent on football teams, and Pettis, you were referring to this, everybody puts the blame on Tom Landry. Shouldn't the blame and everybody's fingers be pointed directly at Gil Brandt?
Well, I mean, your scouting system is the beginning process for bringing in talent. I mean, they spend an enormous amount of time and money out looking at players. And when the coaches really see that talent, it's at a time when recommendations are being made in terms of who should be #1 and so forth. And so I think the scouting system must bear a major portion of the blame.
Randy, the whole organization and the fact you've been with one coach, Tex Schramm, you've had your battles with Tex Schramm, but he's out, isn't he? He can't continue. I mean, you've been face-to-face with this guy in contract negotiations. He's not going to sit there and, as Jerry Jones said, he's behind me now.
Well, like I said, you know, all the people, like with Tex, I've had my contract disputes with them through the years, but that's business part of football, the part that I really have always said that I don't enjoy. But I respect Tex Schramm as a general manager of the team, and have really always gotten along well with him. So, like I said, it's a new era, and you hate to see these people step back.
Well, let me jump down. Former Cowboys safety Cliff Harris has just joined us. You heard what I said to Randy. You know Tex Schramm as well as anybody. I don't know if you saw the press conference earlier, but Jerry Jones, the new owner, saying that Tex Schramm is behind me now. I call the shots. I make the decisions. Tex Schramm isn't going to be working in that office very much longer under those circumstances, is he?
Well, Tex has, over the years, has gradually grown stronger and stronger in the organization. And he'll always have his say in the organization. I don't know that how much longer he plans to be there. In terms of strength, the thing about it is Tex has never had that much input in terms of players, the staff, what goes on in the staff. I take that back. In the game plans, what goes on the field. He's had his input on the direction the team goes in terms of the publicity, the direction, all the things that go on in the glimmer and the glitz of the Dallas Cowboys, but the guts of the thing has been Tom Landry.
All right, let me come back to you just a second. I want to follow up with this Tex Schramm angle. And Carlton, I think you probably know this maybe better than the other guys. You see him on the business side. Can he run the Cowboys as a business if indeed there's a Jerry Jones who's calling all the shots?
Not if Jerry Jones is calling the shots. I saw Tex Schramm tonight at that press conference who was very uncomfortable, very out of place, hearing that he was being reduced in role, and that is going to be very difficult for a man who has pulled all the strings to deal with. I think that will be one of the most interesting things to watch in the days to come.
Cliff, you've had your disagreements about Landry, his philosophies, the defense in particular. How do you feel about the change of Landry to Jimmy Johnson?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that over the years in the 5 Super Bowls that we played in, the only disagreement that I had was in one game of over those years.
Don't back up now.
I'm not backing up now. We've had times that we've had arguments and disagreements about the particular game plans and strategies, but overall, I played in 5 Super Bowls, and they were because of Tom Landry's strategy. The thing that's happened is, Dale, is that, you know, pro football is a tough business. It's a cold business, and the same thing that's happened that could happen to every one of us right in here in this room right now is he got cut. And I'm telling you that one of the hardest things that Tom Landry did as a coach was cut and let go players that he cared about. The Pettises, the Randy Whites. There's going to be a time that's going to happen, and whether, no matter what happens, Tom Landry is in this system of pro football, and it's a tough business. In terms of Jerry Jones coming in, you know, if Tom Landry were to come in 20 years ago, wouldn't you have seen him come in and bring in a brand new coaching staff and that's what we're seeing right now.
Randy Hughes, you're nodding your head there, and you went through some really difficult times at the end, whether you were going to be able to continue to play, and then all of a sudden you're more or less pushed out. Does it make it easier as a former player who's been through, as Cliff says, the NFL system, to accept the fact that Landry has just been fired after 29 years?
I think Cliff hit the nail on the head. I wasn't going to say what he said, but he did hit the nail on the head as far as it being a tough business. And I think Coach Landry emphasized that on any number of occasions, that we were all subject to not having a job the next day. And certainly as players, we had a limited career that we could play anyway. My career was cut short after 6 years, so due to injury. So it can happen to anybody. It's not pleasant, but it is the reality of pro football, and it hit home tonight on a very tough note.
Very quickly, and Pettis, I want to save you for the end, but let me go back and Cliff and go left to right here. Where are the Cowboys headed? The comment I made the other day, winning changes everything. If they start winning, all the people who are upset about the way Landry was handled and canceling season tickets won't make much of a difference, will it?
The greatest evidence was what Tony Dorsett said one time. He said, all the boos and all the people in the stands, they hate me right now, but wait till I break a touchdown for 80 yards. Adrian Dantley tonight, all the boos in the Reunion Arena were quieted. They were quiet. They were cheering for him. I'm telling you, the same thing is going to happen in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas supports winners, and the toughest thing for Tom Landry to ever do was to coach a team that it was not winning. And the town, when this team, no matter what, they can say what they want about being mad about the way they treated Tom and whatever happened. And I tell you what, I've got all the respect in the world for Coach Landry, and I hate to see it happen like this, but he understands this cold business. But when Jerry Jones wins or comes in here and changes things around, and if they win, I'll tell you what, the people will fill the stadium. They'll go bananas just like they did back in the 70s with us.
Carlton?
I can't say it any better. Tom Landry beat the system for 29 years, personally. There will be people who will miss him, and I think will appreciate more what he did, but you're right. The bottom line is if they win or lose, and if they win, everything's going to be happy.
Randy?
I think what they've said, I think that Dallas needs to get the talent in here. I think it's talent that wins. Coaching plays a role, but we need to get more talent in here, draft well, and if we get the right people in here to play, I think that whether it be Jimmy Johnson or Tom Landry, the Cowboys will win again.
Randy, does it also mean that you and a lot of veteran players are on that bubble now? Don't you think that Jimmy Johnson and this new push will push for new players?
Well, I think, regardless of my situation, if I can come back and help the Cowboys, I'm going to do that. But I think Coach Landry's been working to set the groundwork. It's not an overnight process. You don't go from being on the bottom to being on the top overnight. And I think Coach Landry's been trying to set the groundwork to bring the Cowboys back over the last couple years. And I think, you know, I personally, whether I'm with the team or not, would wish the new coach and the new owner and everybody the best of luck. And I think that's going to be the feeling of everybody. Hey, everybody wants to see the Dallas Cowboys get back on top and win football games, and that's what it's all about.
Pat, sum this up for me. The Cowboys have been accused, because of their high ticket prices in recent years, of getting away from the total community. They've become an elitist operation. Now we have a guy like Jerry Jones coming in, who at the very least comes in very strong-willed. Landry, I think, is respected in all parts of the community. How does the community react and deal with all of this?
Well, I think a lot of people will begin to miss Coach Landry, because I think when you talk about the Cowboys, you really are talking about Tom Landry. And I think a lot of people around the league will also miss him. I've said some time ago, and I'll say today, that when historians write about the NFL and really have a chance to reflect and write about it, I think they're going to record that Landry really introduced all the major changes that took place in the NFL, with the exception of the 3-4 defense. I think the fans of Dallas will eventually settle down and back any team that wins here in Dallas, Texas.
Is that a good thing?
Well, you know, you have a tendency to feel that fans are very fickle and fame is very fleeting. And if you aren't careful, you can allow yourself to be weighed down with that. I don't think that will happen with Coach Landry. I think it is natural that we back the team, support the team, but I also feel that the current owners and the current management team will have a major job of reselling the Cowboys to the community.
Pettis Norman, Randy White, Randy Hughes, Carlton Stowers, and Cliff Harris. Even if you were a couple of minutes late, I knew you were going to take most of the time anyway, and you got it. We appreciate it, guys, and that's the way they see this situation. I said a lot about it last night. I'll have more to say tomorrow night, of course, and we'll see you then. Brian?
Okay, thanks, Dale. Well, believe it or not, there were other events in the sports world today. It's true, and we'll get caught up when Sports Special returns.
On Sports Special.
And earlier today, some of Landry's friends and fellow church members talked about the coach's ouster. Channel 8's Lucretia Garza-Quinn has that story.
Sunday afternoons, Tom Landry dedicated his time and energy to football. But Sunday mornings, he was often found here at Highland Park United Methodist Church, congregating with his friends and neighbors, people now upset by what they describe as callous treatment of a man who dedicated himself to the Cowboys.
We here at the church know him a little bit more personally than some of the fans, but we love him, and we just think he deserved a little bit better than that.
Some in the congregation learned of Landry's replacement when the minister mentioned the former head coach in prayer.
It's just a shame that it happened. It just seemed so sudden and everything. It's just like as though the carpet was just jerked from right under his feet, no warning whatsoever.
Tough day. Feel sorry for him. Good man, good leader, good example.
I feel very sad that this was handled in that way, but he's a man of great integrity, and he always rises to the occasion.
We all appreciate him and love him, and maybe this is just life, and this is the way it happens, and this is football.
Many people in this community are not football fans, yet they speak affectionately about the elegant man who paced the sidelines at every Cowboys football game. They say Tom Landry represented Texas with class, and at the very least, he deserved a dignified farewell. Lucretia Garza-Quinn, Channel 8 News.
Yesterday's news also rocked Dallas Cowboys fans in Fort Worth. As Channel 8's Pam Curry reports, many agree with the decision, but they disagree with how it was handled.
These Fort Worth lacrosse players worry about face-offs and goals, not kickoffs and touchdowns. But most of the Cowtown athletes and even some of their Illinois competitors had something to say about the current Dallas Cowboys shakeup.
Oh, I'm not real happy about it. I don't think most of us are who like the Cowboys. We think of Tex Schramm and Tom Landry, especially of the Dallas Cowboys.
But, you know, Landry, I think, deserved more than what he got and just getting cut off.
I mean, Pittsburgh and Dallas played some tough games in some Super Bowls, probably two of the best. So, Tom Landry, I'd like to see him someplace else, but I think he's such a class man that he's going to retire.
Fans count the Dallas Super Bowls as special memories, even those frustrating losses to Pittsburgh. Landry's Cowboy resume includes 5 trips to the big game, 2 chalked up in the win column during the 1970s. The glory days long past. Many supporters say they saw the end of the road.
They had some bad luck, and I don't think it was all Tom Landry's fault, but I think that it is time for a change.
I don't think it was handled very well at all. I think it was poor handling, but it's time for a change.
But for those who cheered the Cowboys in victory and in defeat, Landry continues to sit tall in the saddle.
I think he'll go down in history as one of the great coaches of all time.
Landry is football to some of us.
Pam Curry, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
And next on the update, some clues in the tragedy of Flight 811. Investigators say a lock on a cargo door could have caused... All the donations go to the Salvation Army.
And of course, that's not the end of all that's going on. We'll have more tonight on the Sports Special.
That's right. We'll see you back here next weekend. Good night.
Good night.
This is Dale Hansen Sports Special.
Dale Hansen Sports Special is sponsored by Texas Commerce Banks.
You don't know how many fouls. Yeah, boy, when you try to clean them out. Gosh, it's amazing.
Tom Landry back at Valley Ranch to clean out his office, and after 29 years, this is Jimmy Johnson's office now. I'm Dale Hansen. We thank you for staying with us tonight. Tom Landry will talk to his players tomorrow. Then his working life with the Cowboys is over as Jimmy Johnson's begins. We have 2 reports, and here's Jerry Orr.
Yes, Carol. Carol there.
It was the day after at Valley Ranch. New Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was on the phone, taking charge as he promised he would do. Among the items on his agenda were an interview with a New York radio station and a phone conversation with Coach Jimmy Johnson. While Jones was taking care of business, his family was getting the royal treatment, a guided tour of the football complex.
Well, we've worked real hard today, and I guess it's, 6 o'clock, and we'll be here till probably 3 this morning, tonight, and we're basically working on the details of the acquisition and not spending any time back here footballing it now.
Meanwhile, on the other side of Valley Ranch, Tom Landry sat in his office, sifting through the past.
You never know how many fouls. Yeah, boy, when you try to clean them out. Gosh, it's amazing.
Landry quietly emptied 29 years of his life into cardboard boxes. He says he's not bitter, change comes with a new owner, and that people will forget him soon. But there's no forgetting a legend. Landry compiled 20 straight winning seasons, 18 trips to the playoffs, and 2 Super Bowl crowns. Unfortunately, missing the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years didn't endear him with minority owner Ed Smith, who said Landry should have been fired 3 years ago, or with former owner Bum Bright.
I was obviously disappointed in the 1-loss record, and look forward to a turnaround in that, and I'm confident that this team and the community will see a turnaround.
Team president and general manager Tex Schramm survived the cut. He will remain with the Cowboys, but for how long?
I'm optimistic. I liked Jerry Jones. We spent several hours together. We talked, and I have a little bit of an insight into him. I think he is dedicated to making his life the Cowboys, and that has a lot of advantages as far as an owner is concerned. And I would like to see if I can help make the transition. If I find that I can't, it'll probably be pretty obvious.
But life goes on for the Cowboys. The team's mini camp for veterans and free agents is tomorrow. Doctors examined the new players this afternoon, and each player received at no cost jocks and socks, courtesy of Jerry Jones.
I intend to know have an understanding of the cleat situation. I intend to have an understanding of the player situation. I intend to have an understanding of jocks and socks.
Jones brings in a new era, a new philosophy, a new attitude. But will it rival the success of the old guard?
You know, you just sort of reflect back on the way things were, and whenever you get this kind of a change, it throws you back. And hopefully the organization and the ball club can regroup and, you know, go forward. But not to realize the devastation of this thing, it's, you know, it's just something that's there.
Tom Landry spent most of the day cleaning out his office here at Valley Ranch, packing up the memories. For the first time ever, the sun has risen and set in Dallas without Tom Landry as the head coach of the Cowboys. Jerry Ower, Channel 8 Sports.
Members of the University of Miami coaching staff returned to the campus today, but there was little comment from them about their future with the school or with Dallas. Gary Stevens had yet to talk to Jimmy Johnson after he was named the new coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, this week, you know, after the official word is given, then we'll talk.
Coach?
I haven't seen Jimmy since he's been back. Excuse me a minute.
Had Stevens showed up an hour earlier, he would have seen Johnson leave the campus. We arrived just as he was leaving, saying he was committed not to comment until a press conference was held in Dallas on Tuesday. All efforts to reach Johnson later failed. The only official comment from the university came from athletic director Sam Jankovic.
We had what I consider the best football coach in the country, one that has proved himself both on and off the field. And then now we'll go to the Dallas Cowboy, which is America's team, and that also will only be the second head coach in the history of that great organization.
Before today, reports indicated that Johnson would take as many as 4 assistants with him to Dallas, but that number appears to be even higher.
Nobody has resigned as yet, but as I said before, I think that you would see a maximum of 6 going to the Cowboys and a minimum of 5.
Jankovic met with Johnson at an undisclosed location earlier in the day. He is expected to say goodbye to his team on Monday before traveling to Dallas to start his new job.
He has not said goodbye to you guys yet?
No, not yet, but we're predicting that he will. You know, he won't just up and leave. That's not his nature.
I think Jimmy, and I want to be very careful how I say this, I think the happiest he's ever been is the last 2 years. But I think that he is just, somebody asked me, is he remorseful? No. I think what he is, he's just so excited to be the head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys and go there with a very dear friend of his and that opportunity. That he's put all the rest of it behind him. Now he's ready to roll up his shirt sleeves and do an outstanding job somewhere else.
Johnson leaves some awfully big shoes to fill here in Miami. In fact, spring drills scheduled to begin next Saturday have already been canceled. In the meantime, the search is on to fill the vacancy. George Reba, Channel 8 Sports in Miami.
And almost forgotten in all this are the kids who signed to play their college football at Miami, many because they wanted to play for Jimmy Johnson. Miami Athletic Director Sam Jankovic says those national letters of intent are binding. Carter's Jesse Armstead doesn't see it that way. And here's Brian Jensen.
Pickup basketball in South Dallas served as Jesse Armstead's getaway. Early on, his game was a little out of sync, but so too is his immediate future.
I used to be a key man in basketball, and all this distraction, it might be a problem going on. So Miami causing a serious problem right now. I'm going to #1 now.
Less than 3 weeks ago, Jesse Armstead was ecstatic over signing a letter of intent to play for Jimmy Johnson at Miami. The Southwest Conference may soon feel that way.
I might leave, I might stay, probably go to the Southwest Conference. If I don't stay at Miami, and hopefully I go to either Baylor, Texas A&M, or Texas, or some other Southwest Conference school that offers me a scholarship.
As one of the top signees in the country, Armstead could once again become a hot recruit. Sitting out a year, another decision facing the All-American. But Armstead's been told he can petition the University of Miami for release of his commitment and avoid that penalty.
I've been going through controversy all year, you know, football season-wise, and then come to recruiting-wise, and now my second recruiting class. Hopefully I won't have to get recruited twice, but if they don't find the head coach that I feel comfortable with, this is my future they playing with. And hopefully, if I don't go to Miami, I can find somewhere that wanted me just as bad I want to go to their school.
That certainly won't be a problem. And neither was his shot by the end of today's game. The distractions on and off the court helped by a phone call from Jimmy Johnson himself.
It was once in a lifetime opportunity, and I told him, you know, I would do the same, because I know if they wanted me to be a head coach at Dallas Cowboys, I would be.
Brian Jensen, Channel 8 Sports.
Now, because of the sale of the Cowboys, the firing of Tom Landry, we wanted to give you a chance to express your opinions about all this. The writers who cover the Cowboys for the newspapers in this area are joining us tonight. The studio audience will get its chance, and you get yours by calling the number on your screen, 214-977-6221. I will give you the number again later. But let me do the rest of this first. SMU home against Texas Tech in a conference race that is incredibly tight.
Tough when you break a relationship that we've had for 29 years. But we have to move forward, and I'm glad that the ownership situation has been cleared up, because I think it's important for the football club.
In every business, in every organization, and what you have here is a new generation that is the most competent, capable, enthusiastic, has the resources, the desire, the will, the intelligence to make the Cowboys what the generation who is leaving did 25 years ago.
Former Cowboys owner Bum Bright, the man who hires Jackie Sherrill, fires Tom Landry. What a legacy that is. But Bright says he has sold the team to a man who will make the Cowboys a winning team again, and now we find out what you think about all this. We have, or we are supposed to have, the writers from the three papers. Bernie Miklasz of the Morning News will be joining us. David Moore from the Star-Telegram. Jim Dent of the Dallas Times-Herald is here, and of course you recognize Jerry Orr, who is joining us for a while. And so is this crowd, and you can be too by calling this number and flash it up on your screen. 214-977-6221 is the number. Jim, let me start with you. Your thoughts about what has happened in the last couple of days.
I think it's probably the saddest situation I've ever been through, covering the Cowboys for 11 years. It didn't really hit me until today when I went in to see Tom in his office and spent 20 to 25 minutes because, you know, as you get so busy covering the event that you don't take time to stop and think. And I realized how sad Tom Landry was today, and it made me very sad. I think it's something we will always remember, and I think it's going to be written about and remembered as probably the most eventful day in Cowboys history.
Jerry, you talked to Landry for a while today. What was it like in there?
Well, Dale, let me say first, we've talked about this. There's no disputing the fact that Jerry Jones had the right to bring in his own man as the head coach, but it's how he did it. Landry has just been so classy and such a fine man throughout all the years. And then I knocked on his door, and there he was. He opened it up, and there was this huge room that had all the trophies and all the statues, just bare. And there he was. And I started to cry. And Billy Matthews, the photographer, he started to cry. And it was, you know, it's so hard to describe the moment coming face to face with Tom Landry in such a vulnerable situation. He's always been on top and in command, and for one of the first times in his life, he wasn't.
Yeah, let me show you just a little bit of a difference here and what we find interesting, too. And I came out here a moment ago and I asked all of you, we'll do this one more time very quickly. How many of you here tonight are here because you are tremendous fans of Tom Landry? Yeah. Now listen to this, if they do it the way they did earlier. How many of you in here also agree that Tom Landry needed and should have been replaced, and you don't have a real serious problem with that? Yeah. Well, that's not what you said. Now, that's not what you were doing earlier, yeah. Now they know they're on TV and they're all chickening out because they all want to be with Tom. Stand up for a minute. Join me. You started talking about it earlier. How do you feel about this?
Well, I feel like the biggest mistake that was made when Bum Bright bought the team, and that was that he didn't make a big step and change the coach then, because the Cowboys were already starting a rebuilding stage. It would have been a lot easier if he would have done it then.
Huh? You're not buying this? Wait, go ahead. Stand up right here.
I think, you know, Tom Landry's a legend in his own time, but like this guy said, it's time for change, and they didn't go about it the right way, but, you know, it's time for a change.
Well, now, that's the whole thing, what you were talking about. Jim, take the first guy's thing. Did Bum Bright make a mistake by not getting rid or making a change a couple of years ago? 4 or 5 years ago when he takes over?
No, I think the Cowboys made a mistake by by finding Bum Bright to be an owner. I think
They found Jackie Charles,
the best thing that came out of this is that Bum Bright is gone, and I find him cold-blooded. I'm just glad that I think this is speculation. There's no way that I could completely substantiate this. I do know that the fact that Jerry Jones wanted a new coach appealed to Bum Bright and had to have something to do with the fact that Tom Landry is no longer around.
All right, let me try this. We haven't done this at Channel 8 before. Brent in Irving, you're on. Go ahead, Brent.
Thanks, Dale. I just kind of wanted to pick up on that. Wouldn't the guy realize, Jerry Jones I'm talking about, wouldn't he realize that, say, for example, as has been talked about, giving Tom his last year, planning all the while to bring Jimmy Johnson in, if that's what he wants to do, he could only come out ahead on both ends. Everybody, he'd get his, Tom Landry could be the Kareem Tour 2 all around the league, and everybody could say their goodbyes, and the guy will still have his coach. You know, he can still have your cake and eat it too syndrome.
Okay.
Why not do that?
Yeah, Brent, I appreciate it. Jerry, Jimmy Johnson's not going to come in, though, under those circumstances.
Since when does common sense rule out? I mean, here, Bum Bright wanted to sell the team. Jerry Jones was paying $140 million for the team. He wants his own man. He just could have waited. I mean, what was the purpose of having Jimmy Johnson in town? And all of a sudden, you know, Jerry Jones realized, oh, I think we're making a mistake here, and we'll send Jimmy back to Miami, you know, before the blood dries here. So, I mean, it was just poorly done all the way around.
Yeah, but Jim, we're not really talking a long period of forgiveness there. If the Cowboys start winning, I figure if they're ahead at halftime in the first preseason game, a lot of people shift their allegiances real fast.
Are they going to play in March?
Are they going to play in March?
Or April or May?
No.
It's going to be a long time before that wound's going to mend. I think Jerry Jones, just like a lot of new guys who get into ownership, don't realize this is a different business. This is public relations, and that's why a lot of people are mad right now. I mean, as Jerry said, Jimmy Johnson should have never been in the city of Dallas the last 2 or 3 days.
What I was trying to point out, we were speaking of earlier, of course, many of us here and across the country could feel that we knew that there was a time for Coach Landry. It was going to come sooner or later for a change. But being that this was his final year of his contract coming up, wouldn't it be possible for Coach Landry maybe to work with Coach Johnson to make the transition?
Yeah, but again, the problem is he had already said that he planned on staying much past the 1 more year on his contract.
To our understanding, that was this not to be Coach Landry's last year? Am I correct about that, Jim?
He had talked about 2 weeks ago about coaching farther to try to bring him back, but it was the last year of his contract.
Let me get back to the phones. Joe in Dallas, you're on. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Dale, 2 quick questions and then a comment. First is who is Bum Bright to the side? This is the day that the future evolves for Dallas Cowboys. Secondly, even though this is a deplorable situation, I think years from now we're going to look back and realize that Tom Landry was martyred last night and by Bum Bright and the buyers, and because of that, we're going to look back at his future, his past, even greater than it really was. It will be legendary, even more so than it is now. And last night you mentioned on your sports special that Gil Brandt is the true person who is at fault here, and no one's really talked about that. And the sad and ironic part of this is Gil Brandt's still going to be on and involved being good friends with Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I made the comment the other day that Tom Landry is paying the price for Gil Brandt's incompetence, and Jim, you agree?
I think I have to agree with you 100%.
Well, I think
and I don't agree with you often.
No, you don't. I might have said it just a little bit blunter than you do, but not a great deal. Yeah, not a great deal.
He was conspicuous by his absence this week. Yeah. All of a sudden, he disappeared. And as we believe that Tom and Tex didn't know about this thing until Thursday or Friday, and Gil is best friends with Jimmy Johnson.
I made a reference
what about
in a story today. Right. I made a reference today that several office sources said that he was on the phone several times with Jimmy Johnson last week. And it was a little conspicuous that he would just disappear. Didn't disappear. He said he went to North Carolina for some kind of football clinic, but it didn't appear to be that big of an event.
Well, now you also talked about, and it's been written, that they were all sitting together in the Super Bowl, and again, the friendship angle here. Isn't it, or is it maybe even unfair to Gil Brandt to even suggest, but that Jimmy Johnson and Gil Brandt are such good buddies? Jimmy Johnson has known about this for at least 4 weeks or so, that it was coming down. Tex Schramm and Tom Landry did not. I find it almost impossible to believe that Gil Brandt didn't know. Subsequently, if he did know, why isn't he telling the two men that brought him out of the baby picture business and gave him a chance in football?
Well, it's you know, some people are loyal and they care and they have good taste in what they do, and some people don't.
Now, how many of you in here are, if not just season ticket holders, but go to a couple of football games a year? Do most of you get out there? And now, is anybody in here in the group that's canceling tickets? All right, yeah, stand up here a minute, stand up. Now, are you really going to cancel your tickets, or is this just an emotional statement that you're willing to make now?
Both. It's an emotional statement, and I will not, I mean, if I didn't have to pay for tickets, I wouldn't go to the ball game. And this goes a lot deeper than that. 18 years ago, I tried to get an FCA group started at Turner High School in Carrollton, and I saw Landry speaking at a FCA breakfast, and I went up to him after it was over with, and I asked him if he could maybe get one of the players, anybody during the off season, to come and speak to our FCA group. And he said he'd try to, you know, see who was in town the night that I had it available. And he gave me his office number. I called him Monday. He said he could get Mike Clark, who was the kicker at the time, and he'd work on some more. And he told me to call him back a couple of days later. I called him back a couple of days later, and he couldn't get anybody else. And he said, well, why don't I just come also? He came. He spoke for about an hour. You know, he's been a class act for all this time. You know, and this is just a classless act that is taking place, and I can't deal with it.
But again, you think you will stand by the, I don't know if boycott's the right word, but you don't plan on buying season tickets at Texas Stadium again?
No way.
I appreciate it. Anybody else back here? Who's ticket holders back here? You got any tickets? Would you going to a game? Would you come back next year? The Cowboys are winning. They're doing great. You're going to be out there buying tickets, go to the game?
I'll definitely come watch them play. I feel it's going to be a great improvement for the team, but I would like to say that I don't agree on the situation of how they got rid of Coach Landry. I think that they should have treated the man with style. Of course, you know, he's something I always watch ever since I played football in Oklahoma.
Yeah, okay, now, I figure anybody that shows up tonight wearing a blue Cowboys jersey has got to have an opinion on this. Even if it is Danny White's number 11 here, but I mean, now, you have season tickets? Or?
I do, sir.
And will you keep them?
I'm in decision. It depends if they operate as the team like Landry did. But if it's a business like they did to Landry, cutthroat, I'm in it for the sport and not for the cutthroat. And I do like Tom, and some of the players, I would like to go see some of them, and I'm afraid they're going to get cut too.
Yeah, now, Jim, Jerry, both of you address this. We've been around this thing a lot, but I think it's the most difficult thing for fans to accept is that it is a business, and the sport of it for the fans gets lost too many times, doesn't it?
Well, Clint Murchison paid $600,000 for the Cowboys in 1960. Jerry Jones and partners paid about $140 million in equity. Will pay about $140 million in equity, about $20 to $30 million in debt. It's the economics. I mean, players make $1 million. I was listening to Mickey Mantle on the way over here. He made $56,000 in what, 1956. It is a business, and it is cold. And that's why public relations is so important in pro football and in baseball. And the Cowboys are off to a bad start.
Jerry, you're probably the goofiest guy when it comes to making it a game sometimes, but you know, wait, tell the story. Let me take you back. It's tougher.
Which one?
It's tougher on you now to do what you like to do and what you did in '83 because of the realization of the business aspects and the way this thing seems to be turning around a bit.
Well, and the only funny thing I can do with Jimmy Johnson is that his hair never moves. I mean, you see all the hairspray the guy has?
Yeah, you know, now wait a minute, let's look on the bright side. The guy's got hair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay,
He's way ahead of you and me, buddy.
Yeah, okay. But, you know, this has been a strange week.
Get the off the back of my head right now. So.
You're right. I mean, it seems like we can't have the fun we used to have because every day you're dealing with drugs or a courtroom scene or something like that. And then you have people who, you know, we take pride in our city. And this week, Adrian Dantley stiffed us, Bum Bright stiffed us, and Jerry Jones stiffed us. Where is the pride in the city of Dallas, and is the almighty buck the only thing anyone cares about anymore?
Well, unfortunately, it seems that way. Bill, Bill, if you can hear me, let me get back to the phone lines very quickly. Bill, you're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, and my comment goes specifically to what Jerry mentioned earlier, I think. It's the class, or the lack of class that has been shown here with Jimmy Johnson flying into Dallas Friday night, being seen at dinner at Mia's with the new owner of the team, his picture on the front page of the Dallas paper the next day, all the while Tom Landry being out of the picture. I don't disagree that perhaps Tom Landry's time has gone. The manner in which he is leaving is clearly classless. And I think it's more indicative of what the Cowboys are going to be in the future. I can't support the team with Jimmy Johnson on the sideline and Jerry Jones running the team on a day-to-day basis. I wish they'd moved the team to Little Rock and we'd start all over.
I'd like to address something that hadn't been addressed so far, and that's I personally worked for Mrs. Tom Landry at Texas Stadium for 5 years, from 75 to 80, and I can testify to the fact that that family is class all the way through, and I think a lot of sympathy ought to go to the lady behind the man, because she's going to have to go through this with him.
Yeah, she was talking today, I don't know if you heard, but Alicia was quoted on the Associated Press wire that they haven't been able to even make a decision as to where they go from here. But I think she, and Jim, you know her, well, Jerry, both of you, because you've done a lot of stories with her as well, she's probably having more of an emotional problem dealing with this, and I would think Tom is.
I asked Tom about that this afternoon because people have said that, and I said, what was Alicia's reaction? And he said she was actually happy because for the first time they were going to have time to themselves. They could travel, enjoy each other, and you know, forget about football for a while.
Now wait, is that Tom's answer, or
that was
is that
Tom's answer?
You think that's
his interpretation?
Yeah, Jerry, what do you think?
Well, I bet she nearly fainted when he said he was going to keep coaching and maybe into the 90s. She was so worried about never seeing her husband, she took up the game of golf. And, I mean, that's a statement that she really wanted to see him because that was about the only time she could see him. And I said, Alicia, let's play golf because I don't know if you're going to get to play with Tom. And she said, Jerry, call me.
With Mr. Jones saying what all he was going to make, he was going to be on every decision that was going to be made, are we going to become the L.A. Raiders of the NFC?
Ooh, well, I'm not so sure that comparing it to the L.A. Raiders is a bad deal, but I love the question. This hands-on thing is a big argument. Jim?
I think Jerry got a little emotional at the press conference last night. I think he said some things he hadn't really thought out. I don't think you're going to see Jerry Jones calling plays on 3rd and 3, but I think you are going to see him in total control of this football team probably by the end of next season. And it's a little scary. It's always funny seeing someone new come into the football business because being in private business is no one sees you behind closed doors. He doesn't realize that this is a pretty big major league market with Dale Hansen being in town, and he's going to be under scrutiny.
You just want me to pick up the tab. We will continue with more on the Cowboy sale and the firing of Tom Landry, and we're coming right back here, so stay with us.
And what he brings to the table with the Cowboys will be more than if we had 5 first-round draft picks and we were getting to get the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. But I want to emphasize to you that one of the finest things that, or greatest things that will have happened in the Cowboy history is Mr. Jimmy Johnson joining the Cowboys.
My grandfather captured the spirit of the American family. Oldsmobile's 88 Royale has captured the spirit of a new generation with its beautiful blend of modern technology and comfort. For today's American family, the 88 Royale...
With Coach Landry and his lovely wife at the Super Bowl, and they're just great people.
Well, to be completely honest, I think he probably got some of the treatment that the players are used to getting. So I don't know whether that's fair or whether to say that's just the business.
Sure, I don't think it's because of his coaching ability. I think it was because of the talent they had on the field. It was not up to par with the rest of the league, not from my viewpoint.
World-class tennis is coming to Reunion Arena.
And got to know him better and better over the years. He became the very closest thing that I had and know of as a role model.
One of Landry's biggest causes was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
I've been told he may have raised more money by just his voluntary speaking across the United States than any other person has done for the FCA.
Landry didn't donate money to Baylor Medical Center. The hospital's directors simply decided to name its Landry Center after him to honor a man they regarded as a living legend.
He loved to give his time and himself away to causes that he believed in.
And I'm very proud to have that picture in my office.
Ron Haddock only knew Landry in life after football.
Everybody loved Tom Landry.
After 20 years of friendship, Boone Powell says he was the same man on field and off.
My respect for him has been enormous, but I'm just among the thousands who felt that way. I just had the good fortune of knowing him. And I think Tom became almost larger than life to many that he touched. And I think the legend will only grow.
Vince Patton, Channel 8 News.
At Valley Ranch, people have been showing up throughout the day to reflect on the loss and the life of Tom Landry. Some bring flowers, pictures, and sympathy cards. Others are drawn to Texas Stadium, leaving tributes to the coach below his photograph.
Funeral arrangements are now in place to allow everyone to say goodbye to Landry. A private service will be held Thursday for Landry's family and close friends, but the public is invited to a memorial service also on Thursday at 4 p.m. at the Morton H. Meyerson Symphony Center in downtown Dallas.
Jerry Jones's pocketbook.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see.
Well, I came down here this evening primarily to witness a legend in Tom Landry, and I think we're missing the point. Yes, it was handled improperly, the sale, I believe. I agree wholeheartedly. But shouldn't we concentrate more our efforts on thinking of the man himself? Look at it in a positive vein. He's leaving, he's retiring, the pressure's off of him, number one. He left a legacy. He believed according to priorities. You believe in God first, your family second, and your profession third. And he did it in his entire career. I think he's got some shoes that'll never be filled.
Yeah, I just want to say, I just think it's time for Dallas Cowboys to have a change, and they're going to be number one, and we're with them all the way, and we love Tom Landry.
I think it all goes back to this, and I believe everybody in this whole room will agree to us, and I keep going back to the word class, but I think that Buddy Ryan of Philadelphia's got more class than our new owner, Jerry Jones.
You were talking here. You were talking about Tom Landry.
Yeah, I just thought it was deplorable how they got rid of the man. It just doesn't. It's not right that they fired the man, and he's going to be accepting. More than likely, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and so he's going to have to enter the Hall of Fame with this hanging over his head that he got fired. I don't think it's right.
Well, now think about this on the good side. You mentioned Buddy Ryan. I figure with Jimmy Johnson, though, Johnson will run up the score on the Eagles if he gets the chance because he's done it. Go ahead.
Integrity, dignity. I just see the real lack of it, the way that Landry handled the releasing of his players, the way that Landry has had his assistant coaches that went on, the way that Landry deals with other people, period. And to be treated that way, I think's, a pretty low thing.
You're talking about the way Landry treated people. Are you saying
the
good
way
or
that
bad?
he did. Well, the way that Landry presented himself and the way that he operated, he deserved a lot more than this, than reporter in the parking lot,
I think a point we should make right now is that Tom Landry is one of the few NFL head coaches who talked to every player who was ever released by the football team. And in training camp, it might have been 4 or 5 at a time because it was rookies or free agents. But it wasn't an assistant coach or it wasn't a trainer telling them that they were gone. It was Tom Landry who spent the time to explain why it happened.
Let me get Jerry, do you have a
Well, I
point
was
there?
going to say, you know, Tom Landry stands for everything that everyone believes in: integrity, love of God, class. And let's ask ourselves, does Jimmy Johnson have any of those three? Jerry Jones says, according to Frank Broyles, Jimmy Johnson has the highest IQ he has ever seen. Well, I guess they haven't been out of Arkansas very long then.
That's all. You know, I've got enough problems with just some schools, and now you got a whole state down on us. You know, not very good. Let me go back to the phones. Mike in Hurst, you're on. Mike, go ahead, buddy.
Thanks, Dale. I think that anybody who loves the Cowboys can find out something negative that came out of the way this was handled. But I'd like to make a positive statement if I could. Something that Jerry Jones said last night. Coach Johnson teaches aggressive, hard-hitting football, and to me, that excites me. I think we're going to have one heck of a good defense.
Okay, Mike, thank you. I appreciate it. You had a question right here in the front. Go ahead, stand up for me, George.
Well, I was going back and ask the guys up front a question. Y'all are involved with the story kind of close, and obviously the story got broke by a whole nother group of people. But do you think that this was something that's been ongoing since maybe December? Or I'd heard that there had been talks with Jerry Jones as late as that, or as far back as that. And if so, why was Landry not given a little bit of fair warning to maybe step down with dignity? It seems like he just found out about it Friday or Saturday, and I thought maybe you guys knew a little bit more about that, and if there was more going on further back than just the last week.
He came to, Jerry Jones came to Dallas in September. I found out today, it's kind of funny that Jimmy Johnson called Schramm in October and recommended Jerry Jones as the next owner of the team. However,
heck of a deal.
Yeah.
You recommend that? I'll
quite a
recommend
reference.
you for
I'll
this.
scratch your back. But I don't think the negotiations really got really intense until earlier this week.
On a more somber note, Dale, the Dallas Cowboys have now changed ownership. Jerry Jones is now the new owner. I think that the fans, the players, the community, the people of the state of Texas ought to get behind him, show them that we support him. He's a winner, and he'll turn this team around.
And I hear somebody back here saying, but, yeah. No, but I think they will, though. I mean, I do. You?
The thing that bothers me, I think, is as far as us in Texas and Dallas, is they've embarrassed us. We are proud people. We're proud of our football team and proud of all this, and the way they've done it has just torn that all down. And I'm embarrassed about the way they've done us. Somebody from off there, you know.
Sorry. Yeah, we keep coming back to the same thing, though, is it's still the way it was done bothers everybody.
Yeah, I guess we have to realize this is a new generation Cowboys. I remember them rattling off all these words last night, but they didn't say courtesy or class.
Ooh, strong. Yeah, go.
Let's talk about the new generation Cowboys. You know, Jimmy Johnson's coming in, and there's reports of 5 or 6 of his assistant coaches coming with him. What kind of effect do y'all think that's going to have on the team? And are these guys underestimating the transition between college ball and the NFL?
Ooh, interesting football question.
Well, you know, Dale, we hear what a great coach Jimmy Johnson is. He had a great record at Miami. They beat the heck out of Oklahoma just about every time they play him, and every Big 8 team, including Nebraska.
And if we get a team in the NFL to run the wishbone, they got him, my
That's
golly.
true. That's true. But is Jimmy Johnson a great coach, or is Jimmy Johnson a great recruiter? It's one thing sweet-talking a 17-year-old kid to come to Sunshine in Miami and hang out with Don Johnson. But it's another thing drafting the right talent to make up the right chemistry to have a great football team in the NFL.
I still think the Cowboys can beat Nebraska next year.
Let me get to Steve in Irving. You're on, Steve.
Yeah, Dale, one thing you guys haven't brought up, wasn't Bum involved a couple years ago in the class hiring of that class coach down at A&M named Jackie Sherrill? And it was handled about the same way as they handled Tom Landry this time.
Bum's been in a slump.
Yeah. Go for 2.
I'm a true blue Dallas Cowboy fan, and I don't believe that if anyone is really a true Dallas Cowboy fan, they can get behind a jerk like Jerry Jones and support this team any longer.
Yeah, but again, Where am I going? The point I'm making is it true Dallas Cowboys fans, winning or losing, are going to come back? You agree or disagree?
Well, I like to ask Jim Dent, does that mean we get Walsh instead of Aikman?
Ooh, another good football question.
Hey, Jerry Jones, in his emotional furor last night, said that they were going to stay with Aikman. They thought they were going to go with Aikman. I think Walsh will probably come out, though, and he may. You never know. These things change.
Jerry, you're a Walsh guy. You've been touting him anyway for a couple of weeks. Where do you think they're going?
That's a tough call, Dale. They like Aikman. I thought it was funny last night when Jerry Jones does this impassioned plea that, yes, we will still take Troy Aikman. Then he looks over at Bum Bright and said, did I say Aikman?
Yeah, did he?
I mean, it didn't make any sense. I mean, he's asking an Aggie. What kind of an answer is he going to get on that one? So, no, one point I've got to make.
Did you write this stuff down before you came out here, or what is it?
Jerry Jones says, we must win, we can win, we will win. With this Cowboys team, they might not be any better than 8-8 next year. What kind of a loser will he be? And does he think that he can turn this team into a Super Bowl contender in 1 year? He seems to think he can.
Well, I think he thinks he can, but let's find out. Let me get to Plano for a quick call. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make the comment that this whole outreach of feeling that I seem to be having, or people seem to be talking about, is a kind of hypocritical, because these people are ready to give Landry's head on a plate, when he was losing. And I don't really understand it. Now, Landry was a great coach. It wasn't handled properly. But where's everybody coming from on that?
Yeah, no, wait, Bob, I think you raise a valid point. Now, now, let's be honest about this. How many of you, when they were going 3-13, were saying, Tom, get out the door, we need another coach? Huh? I mean, you said that now, didn't you? Did you say it?
I said it.
Yeah.
I said it. What I was wondering was, when a lot of times when a player's traded, the change of scenery does them good. Do you think some of maybe the Cowboy players were stagnant with Landry, and will Jimmy Johnson turn them around?
What do you think, Jim?
One thing that Johnson does very well, and Tex Schramm was talking about today, is motivate his team game by game. And he said that was the big reason that he would have had Jimmy Johnson right about the top of his prospective list if Landry could have retired and everything had been done right. Because over the last 2 years, they didn't play, Notre Dame great, and then the next week go flat. They seem, I think there's going to be a new fire. I think the fans are going to like that, and Jimmy Jones is a good defensive coach too.
All right, let me get back to the phones very quickly. In Fort Worth, we'll make you the last caller tonight, Charlene. Go ahead.
Well, I'd like to make the statement that I think Jerry Jones has the right to choose the people that he wants to have work with him in a business deal of this magnitude of $140 million plus or whatever. But I do agree with everyone that I feel like Tom Landry has been not treated fairly or honestly in this situation. I think he should have been at least approached and let in on what was going on in the negotiations, even though they probably needed to be kept confidential. But all in all, it's a business deal. I'm emotional about the way Tom Landry was treated. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan and always will be. And I think this will blow over, but if there was any way we could let Tom Landry know how we feel, I sure would like to be able to send a note to him or a telegram or whatever.
Yeah, somebody raised the question earlier about where to send a letter to Tom Landry. I know where he lives. I'm obviously not going to give out his mailing address, but Jim, you got any ideas on what they might do?
You can still send it to the office. He'd get it. You can still send it.
Forward it on to him. Just send it to the Cowboys office at Valley Ranch. And there were also some of the people over here were asking about changing the stadium's name to Landry Stadium. Think there's any chance of that, guys?
We had a long, late-night discussion in Schramm's office last night. You've been in on a few of those. And he was trying to think of, or the idea was thrown around, should there be a Tom Landry Day? Should something finally, at some point in the season? And I really think the opening is there. The name of the stadium is Texas Stadium. If you're not going to name it Clint Murkison Stadium, and he built it, and there's a very good reason to put his name on it, put Tom Landry's name on it.
And it's also time. It's also time to put Tom Landry's name in the Ring of Honor. What a perfect time. And maybe Leroy Jordan can sneak in with him.
All right, last comment. Go ahead.
I was curious, how much longer do you think Tex Schramm is going to be around?
Ooh, well, good way to end it. Jim?
1 year. I think Tex would like to stay longer. I think he cares enough about the football team to stay several more years. But I think Jerry Jones wants to go through a season with Tex. He's going to take control of the team, and I don't think Tex will want to stay much longer.
Jerry?
Football is his life, but I don't know if he can stand to get nitpicked to death by Jerry Jones. I mean, I was in the office today with Jerry Jones, and he was making a long-distance call, and he asked the Cowboys PR guy if each individual phone gets a rating for the long-distance calls. And I'm thinking, if this guy just spent $140 million and he's worried about one long-distance call, they're in trouble.
Yeah, but we do it here, too.
That's right. Oh, it's all right for us to do, yeah.
I can't call home without coughing up that 87 cents on payday. I thank all of you. You have been outstanding. I appreciate you coming in here tonight. And I thank those of you who called from home. We appreciate it. We tried this tonight, and I think it's worked well. I appreciated the effort that you made to hang in there on the phones with us. Jimmy Johnson is expected to be here Tuesday, and he may well make this team a winner again. But the way he gets this job should sicken decent people everywhere. The arrogance of Bum Bright, Jerry Jones, and Jimmy Johnson to show up in Dallas before Landry's been told he's fired boggles the mind. Bright's top aide, Jim Francis, says, "I'm like a catfish. Big mouth, no brains." Jones talks about Johnson's genius IQ. You notice men like Francis, Bright, and Jones talk about brains, but they never talk about heart. But that is the one encouraging sign about this whole mess. I do think Jerry Jones is going to put his heart and soul into making the Cowboys a winner again. I don't think Bum Bright has one. I'm so tired of reading about his bad luck and hard times because he's down to his last $300 million or so. If he'd come out of his ivory tower and drive through our city, we could show him hard times. We could show him people who don't have his brains or his money, but show more compassion daily than he has shown in his lifetime. I've made a joke on the banquet circuit 1,000 times that Tom Landry would never retire. He would continue coaching until some Sunday he just dropped over dead. Problem is, no one would notice till Tuesday. Well, Tom Landry's not on the sidelines anymore, and we noticed. I'm hoping Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson do make the Cowboys a winner again. The city deserves that. The fans want and deserve that as well. But Tom Landry deserves so much better. And it bothers me that we're expecting great things from men not smart enough to realize even that. Until tomorrow, for everyone who's been a part of this one, I'm Dale Hansen. We do thank you for watching. Good night.